Brian Von VA back at it again. How's everyone doing? I'm bringing you something truly delicious tonight. What are some of the dumbest character concepts that you've ever had the displeasure of thinking of? Part 1. I just had a stupid character idea. It started off with me thinking, how dumb would a modern day magician be in a fantasy setting? Then I started thinking about how it would go. Bard? Nah, real magicians don't have magic. Let's go rogue. So now we have a guy who does fake magic in a world where magic is common and not near as impressive. He is just the one guy who uses no magic at all. Then the concept got worse. Wait, if I don't want him using any magic, what about magic items? What if I just gave him some curse that keeps him from using the magical properties of things? The Mace of Disruption would just be a normal mace. I like this idea, but we would have to balance it out somehow. Well, if magic doesn't work for him, what if it also doesn't work on him? Every weapon property is null and void against him. Fireballs just mold around him, detection spells have no effect, but also, if that was the case, neither would spare the dying or cure wounds. If dreams are the result of magic, then he would have none. It was about this time I realized just how stupid this is. Total idea for the character. A man cursed to live in a magical world as if it were mundane. Never quite being able to enjoy the mysticism that the world has to offer. In a desperate act to join the world from which he has been alienated, he masters sleight of hand and misdirection just to feel closer to it. He has prayed to every god he knows, but his pleas have gone unanswered. One of his greatest fears: if the gods cannot speak to me, then am I even able to move on to the afterlife? Ugh. What many people might consider a blessing, he bears as a curse. Now, the character idea definitely sounds cool, at least to me, but I could see it being broken. Sure, he is really in danger of dying in combat, but he can basically treat any spellcaster that relies only on spells like a commoner with extra hit points. Had this orc fighter that dual-wielded shields, which managed to get his armor class to 25. He also ate everything. An entire vial of expensive magic ink with glass and all, clothing, and anything we killed he took bits off of to munch on during travel. Be it bug, or human, or otherwise. I miss that dumb green goofball. One of my favorite character concepts is a goblin rogue who had enough of being treated like animals by adventurers. So he picks up his weapon and beats the next low-level party, but lets them live. From that point on, he too becomes an adventurer and tries to negotiate with every king and noble to let them have their peace, so that goblins could evolve and reach the technological and cultural level of humans and the like. What makes him so dumb? The fact that he only cares about goblins, and he is basically a freedom fighter against the oppressors, but does so in a comical way, only managing because it makes the DM laugh and because of high charisma. But his negotiation would never work out in real life. A teething druid, 3 intelligence, 9 wisdom, 20 charisma, 8 strength, and 8 dexterity. She believes she is the patron goddess which all things on earth that grow, animal, humanoid, or plant, worship/work for. Essentially, a teething druid who thinks she is a warlock, but in reverse. Rather than having a patron, she is that patron, when in fact, she's just a teething druid with a really high charisma. In part, her confusion stems from her druidic ability to speak with plants and animals. Her charisma is high enough when she asks anyone to do anything for her, she's more likely going to get an affirmative response. People tend to bend over backwards for her because either they're terrified of her and are intimidated, or just find her so charming they placate her whatever she asks. Of course, assuming her roles are mediocre or better. This further feeds her delusion that she's a godly patron. She is fairly useless in combat because she thinks that she should be helping her followers rather than getting involved directly. So she may be more useful at later Dryad levels if she can lead an army, creatures, or plants. She is an idiot though. She may have limited wisdom, but she is so stupid that she's wrong about how that wisdom should be interpreted. I ran a wizard who multiclassed into a monk so he could study ki, because he thought he could use it in addition to magic to become immortal. So he ended up being this muscular old guy who tattooed his spells on himself instead of using a spell book. He hit like a truck, but he was a total glass cannon since he was still a wizard. Good times. I got 2. An eccentric tabaxi inquisitive rogue with no fear response, the living embodiment of curiosity killed the cat. An old one, warlock / wizard multi with as many tentacle, whip, or bind spells as I could get my hands on, with an octopus familiar for good measure. Only uses them in wholesome or helpful ways, mostly made to subvert a new group's expectations since no character I make is played completely straight. Artichoke, a shifter druid / barbarian. He's relatively young, being around 14 in shifter years. He's technically a crossbreed of 2 different types of shifters, Beasthide and Longtooth. His dad was a Beasthide that was an armadillo and studied in magic, being a wizard. His mom was a Longtooth that was an anteater, and was attached to the earth, being a druid. He followed his mother's footsteps in class, but learned a spell from his dad, that being Find Familiar, at a young age. The familiar's name was Family, after a botched pronunciation from a 2-year-old, but it stuck. He became a barbarian after his home and family, save for family, burned down. He did stick with his druid heritage, and with family by his side, he sought out his own adventures. Doesn't sound stupid yet? Well, allow me to explain further. Imagine this kid, this borderline 14-year-old with a pet familiar on his shoulder, threatening some bandits in the woods that are about to mug him for all his very little money. His voice cracks, he warns them, and after they disregard it, he begins to shift over into his animal form. He hunches over as he begins to grow in size. From his back emerge glistening scales of gold, capable of defending from the sharpest of weapons. He grows a tail that is easily double his length and capable of sweeping large creatures off their feet. His hands morph together to create terrifyingly sharp claws that are capable of breaking through concrete. His face slowly lifts up to reveal his shifted form, a giant pangolin. The bandits just look on in confusion as the pangolin stands there, and then the pangolin just runs up to one of them, knocks them over on their back, and stands over them, goring them. And after killing the one bandit, the pangolin looks over to the other guy with the absolutely adorable awkward face of a pangolin, one that just flatly murdered his best friend, and then does the same thing to him. This dude slowly became one of my favorite characters. A variant human grave cleric plague doctor with a sissy British accent named Cecil Bazuljet. Hey, I pronounced it right because they have a reference, thank you. Who was horribly burned in an accident when he was a child and was, from then on, obsessed with the concept of death. How close can someone get to death before they die for good? What effects will it have on their psyche? So, in effect, he was a cleric that never healed anyone but himself until you started making death saves, and then he would make sure you stayed alive so he could study you after. It was an idea I kicked around for a while, but then the opportunity came up. The campaign he was involved in was a 4 or 5 session campaign where we played level 20 characters that were teleported to a magical island where only the strongest can even exist. Every character was required to have a dark secret that the DM could work into personal experiences for RP. Bazuljet's secret was that he was the one responsible for bringing everyone to the island. He had accidentally been brought to the island much too early in his life and spent the rest of his life trying to get back. When he found the spell that let him do it, he was told by magical forces that no one travels alone. He selected a bunch of other people at random, and that's why they were there. During his time on the island, the party encountered a pair of powerful chimeras, a beholder the size of a building, and even the avatar of death itself. At the end of the campaign, the party, the 4 that were left of the original 7 anyway, met the being in charge of the island, a godlike being named Damon. Damon revealed to the party that it was Bazuljet that brought them all here, and that Bazuljet told them he would do it again in a heartbeat. They were all understandably pissed, but Bazuljet had one more dumb trick to pull. He decided that the best way for him to study things for the rest of his life would be to have Damon's position, so he used his divine intervention to ask Kelemvor to place him in charge of the magical island. Kelemvor and Damon ruled that if Bazuljet and company could defeat literally death itself, Bazzouljet gets the spot and everyone gets a free unlimited wish and absolute freedom from the island. After a difficult fight, the party defeated Death, and Bazzouljet now rules the legendary Bitterback Isle. I'm gonna bring him back in a campaign I'm running at some point as a villain, completely in charge of the island and all its power. What started out as a Plague Doctor meme became a legitimately intimidating villain light that manipulated the rules of the game by never technically lying on insight checks the party made against him and letting the suspicious ones suffer just a little longer before giving them a crumb of Kelemvor's holy light. Not my character, but I was in the party. A player in the party was a bit of a powerhouse of odd characters, and it's always fun. He came up with a character called Mr. Pirana Plant. As the name suggests, he was a leash-shy little plant person that looked like a piranha plant from the Mario games. He walked around in a little pot as a skirt that he used as armor. On top of this, when he entered combat, vines and roots sprouted out of his pot to reveal the rest of his body, which resembled a huge, beefy humanoid made from roots. He also grew to a medium size. If Mr. Pirana Plant ever died, the player's backup was a stoner druid dude who would occasionally mention the weird little red plant he magically grew while high and out of it. But when he sobered up, the plant was gone, so he thinks he just hallucinated the whole thing. In reality, Mr. Pirana Plant just got up and walked away while he was sleeping the weed off. Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here. As always, if you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and follow MrRipper on Twitch and Twitter. Make sure to join our subreddit r/MrRipper so you too can leave a story that we might read in a video or live on stream. Clicking that happy blue face will lead you on a journey to my YouTube, Brian Von VA, where I discuss voice actor things, make videos of my own, and stream games occasionally. Links are in the description below. Just wanted to pipe in and wish everyone a good holiday season. I know things are still a little bit weird out there, but no matter where you are or what we're doing or what you're believing, what you are, anything of that nature, we're all in this together. So take a step away from work every so often and make sure you get yourself some good old-fashioned rest and relaxation in, okay? Can't have you guys and gals and everyone between out there overworking yourselves. So stay frosty, all the love everyone, be safe, be happy, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.